Welcome to the channel, Gaming Army. In this video we're going to discuss how to be the best and most effective sniper. So if that is your goal, there are several things that are key to this that you need to pay attention to. The first thing you'll want to pay attention to is make sure you know wind speed and direction. You'll also want to know your projectile characteristics if you have fall off, and if so, over what distances. You also need to calculate elevation plus or minus to your target, the angle at which you're engaging your target, and for extreme shooting you may even need to factor in things like humidity and curvature of the planet. Nah, I'm just kidding. This is a video game. None of that stuff matters except for real life scenarios. So in MechWarrior Online, there are a whole other group of characteristics that we need to discuss on how to be the best and most effective sniper that you can be. So for this video, we're going to be in our Thanatos. It is the Thanatos 5S. It is a very Spartan build. I am only running 2 Gauss rifles, some ECM for protection, and jump jets for maneuverability. The first drop here finds us playing skirmish mode on Forest Colony. And you've noticed I've taken the high ground up by the radio tower. This is going to give me an excellent field of fire and view across the front of the enemy line. And that is the first tip. Know the map that you're playing on, specifically the terrain you're in, and also pay attention to game mode, because certain game modes will lend the enemy to moving in certain predetermined routes and directions, and you can take advantage of that as a sniper. It's going to be all about superior positioning early on in the game so that you don't waste a lot of time trying to get the angles that you're looking for. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do this as far as positioning. One method is to be behind your teammates at extreme range, shooting over top of your teammate at the enemy. This will allow you to get shots in while they're focusing your frontline mechs. The second way to do it is, again, a different type of positioning so that you're shooting them from unexpected angles and can remain hidden to do damage over and over and over again without getting focused. Obviously, you know me, I love back shots. And that's probably the best place to be, just because the rear armor of most mechs is their weakest point and where you can get the most work done. But knowing the map terrain and game mode are very, very key out of the gate, because it's going to get you into the right place to be your most effective that you can be. So as you're watching this playthrough, you may have noticed I am zoomed in, but I am not using advanced zoom. So that's going to be our question. Please make sure you put a reply in the comments. Do you use advanced zoom, or do you not use advanced zoom? So obviously the bonuses for using advanced zoom are pretty evident. You can zoom in and get a very clear sight picture of what you're shooting at. And that is a very strong incentive to use the advanced zoom. I personally don't use it very often for 2 important reasons. Number one is, while you're in advanced zoom, any minor movement that happens on your mech translates into a lot of screen shake and inaccuracy down the line, just like using a scope in real life. The second reason I don't use the advanced zoom is, while you're zoomed in, you're staring down that scope and giving up a great deal of situational awareness of what's going on around you on the battlefield. So those are my reasons, but again, please feel free to drop a comment. Let me know if you use it, what your experience has been, what your thoughts are on the subject, and hopefully that will help out some other pilots. So we're quickly coming to the end of this drop, just hunting down this last target, and I was being careful not to do any team damage. Do manage to take the fire starter's leg, and that's going to be all she wrote for that mech. So we do finish the match out with 2 kills 748 damage, and 6 components destroyed. Moving on to our next drop, this finds us playing Assault Mode on Canyon Network, and we're going to continue our discussion with the important things you need to know to be the best and most effective sniper. So the next thing on the checklist is communication. You have to have superior communication. If you're going to be a stealth sniper, a scout sniper, then communication is going to be key, because at that point you're electing to be the eyes and ears of your teammates. So you need to let them know what you see, enemy positions, which direction they're moving, because that is going to impact the tactics they employ and positions that they choose to be in as well. So communication is definitely a huge key. Now let's get into some of the specifics, talking about mechs and weapons. Going into weapons, there's many choices that you can do. In my opinion, the worst weapon, especially for a stealth sniper build, is going to be lasers. Lasers are the worst because they have a long fire time, and it's a very obvious straight line from your target back to your position. That means they can easily see where you're at and focus you down. At that point, you become ineffective. A better weapon would be a PPC, and while somebody who's paying attention will eventually work it out as to where you're shooting from, it isn't that easy straight line to immediately focus where you're at. You can also increase your odds by firing and readjusting your position a little bit to keep them guessing. The best weapon for sniping and being a stealthy sniper is going to be the Gauss rifles, and that's why I'm running them on the Thanatos. The Gauss rifles don't leave any telltale trails to your position. The only way they're going to see you is if they physically spot your mech, or if they're looking directly at you and can spot the muzzle flash when you release your Gauss rounds. Otherwise, you're very secretly raining projectiles on them, and they won't have any idea where you're shooting them from. So that's why I like the Gauss rifles. So now we're down to our last tip on how you can be the best and most effective sniper. And this last tip is choosing the right mech. I would urge you to stay away from assault mechs and light mechs for the following reasons. An assault mech can carry an impressive amount of weapons and lots of ammunition. The problem becomes you're giving up all of that mobility and maneuverability.
Target spotted.
So in the beginning of the game, you might have great difficulty getting into the right position to get set up and start shooting at the enemy.
New target acquired.
And you're also going to lose a great deal of mobility if you have to relocate and reposition later in the game. The flip side is true of the light mechs. While you're going to have tons of mobility and be able to move around the battlefield, getting into superior positions, you're giving up sheer damage. The amount of weapons that a light mech can carry, and specifically the amount of ammunition a light mech can carry, are greatly going to hamper the amount of damage you're able to deal on the battlefield. So I recommend looking into either a medium or possibly a heavy type chassis that will give you the best of both worlds. And that's what led me to the Thanatos, specifically the 5S. The weapon hardpoints on this mech are very high up. They're at cockpit level, so if you see it, you can shoot it. You can take advantage of horizontal peeking not to expose your entire mech, making it more difficult for the enemy to see where you're shooting from, as opposed to just standing out in the open. I also like it because it has ECM to keep me hidden, and I want to be dealing damage throughout the entire match if possible. So I want to do a lot of damage over time. The other thing it allows me to do is maneuverability. The jump jets allow me to jump up and down into superior firing position, and the speed of the mech is such that I can still maneuver around the board and get myself into and out of positions as necessary, and it does carry a decent amount of ammunition. So those are the tips on how to be the best and most effective sniper in MechWarrior Online. We're dropping back into this match. It's a close one. It is currently 8-8, and we're trying to wrap things up, and we've gotten the attention of a Blood Asp. I didn't want to leave him shooting my teammates on the side, so I have challenged him. I don't recommend doing this. Gauss rifles is not the weapon system to be brawling with, just because it has a long cooldown period followed by the charge-up period, and in the meantime, the right mech can deal out a lot of damage while you're waiting to fire. I also made a couple of mistakes here. You noticed my lock was not on the Blood Asp. It was on another enemy across the other side of the board. I did manage to sort that out at the very end, take his other side torso, get the kill on the Blood Asp, and now I found his buddy who was up here as well. So the Direwolf has been sitting here taking shots at range, and I'm giving him some pressure. I don't think he realizes I'm here, but he's trying to move away and get away from me, giving me his back, which I'll take those back shots any day of the week. So we've gotten a couple on there. He's one touch, rear torso. He realizes I'm here, turns around, and that's okay because it allows my teammate to get a kill. So we finished this one off with 1 kill, 873 damage done, 8 components destroyed.